As I rained blows upon him, I realized there had to be another way. A new holiday was born. A Festivus for the rest of us. Festivus is back. I'll get the pole out of the call's face.
Is that the pole?
George, Festivus is your heritage. It's part of who you are.
That's why I hate it.
Tell them all the ways they have disappointed you over the past year. The tradition of Festivus begins with the airing of grievances. I got a lot of problems with you people. Now, you're going to hear about it.
Another Festivus miracle.
And now, as Festivus rolls on, we come to the feats of strength. I find tinsel distracting.
You know what, Sal? I got to tell you, it was basically a feat of strength to try and pull this off tonight. It's the, what is this, our 4th annual Festivus episode. Welcome, everybody. It's the Falafel Fantasy Football Funhouse, whatever you want to call us, Festivus episode. And you guys suck. So doing this was a chore. It was a feat of strength on my part. So I'm starting off with a rant. I'm coming in hot. You always want me to come in hot. Here it is.
This is by far the most fire you have ever had. If I knew that this is what it would have taken, I would have just sporadically missed shows a long time ago, or just missed of time a long time ago. Yeah, it's been a long year for us over here in the Falafel Fantasy Football Funhouse. We're combining the two names. Because, man, we've been busy. We don't have Steve with us this year for that show, for this particular episode, and Steve is always so good for this. But Steve is, he's a lost soul.
He's dead. He's
Kevin and I
dead.
saw and heard things this week that we don't know that any human can survive. But Kevin, I mean, the real reason I haven't been here all this time is I've been working a lot. So while I haven't been,
I don't buy that for a minute. I just don't buy it.
I gotta be honest with you. I made the most money I've ever made in my life this year. It's been a good financial year for me, but I have not been very involved in the fantasy community. But hey, we did do our show back in July where we raised a ton of money. And if you saw my Twitter, I did go out and buy all those toys for tots. Here's I don't think we're on YouTube this year, but Kevin, you can see.
I can see it.
Yeah. The receipt is about 20 feet long.
I loved the picture of you stretching it across your entire apartment. I don't know if that's as much of a statement of how big the receipt is or how small the apartment is. I wasn't sure.
I would say that was my whole living room. I would say that's a good 15 feet from one side to the other. So.
All right. Well, listen, this is the episode, it's outside of the Podathon, which is obviously for a great cause and lets us do wonderful things for kids, which you got to experience firsthand in buying, all those gifts for children, which is amazing. This episode is by far the most fun thing we do all year. If it's the only thing we do all year, I will still be happy and I will, not tear you apart like I just did to open the show next year. As long as I know going in that you're just going to completely slack off all year and only do this episode, I'll be okay.
We will have to see what the future years bring, but for now we are here. And you know what? Let's get angry. Let's get ranty. I want to rant a little bit, Kevin. You know what I'm tired of this year? You know what pissed me off a lot this year? These goddamn teams waiting till after other games started to rule players out. That's this year more than ever. That seemed to be an issue. It happened with Robert Woods this year. It happened with Adam Thielen this year. It happened this very weekend, championship weekend, when so many of us were relying on Derrick Henry. And overnight, the news came out that Derrick Henry wouldn't play. And my best fill-in player, Carlos Hyde, played yesterday because we had to have Saturday games this week. And yesterday I was loving it. Like 3 games on Saturday. I'm loving it. And sure enough, it came back to bite me in the keister. But what would it matter? I mean, Mark Hill had the foresight to start Caden Smith and beat me in the only championship I was in this year. So my Festivus rant is going to include the fact that I won nothing. 0, nada this year.
That's very difficult. Yes, I had a lot of good teams going into the playoffs, and I was bounced in the first round in just about all of them. I did have a couple of championships. I have made it to this week. I have a couple that are up in the air, but most likely going to lose. So I'm pissed off about that. I need Allen Robinson to get me 15 points tonight to salvage the season and give me at least one championship. But I will tell you, I'm with you, man. Those late scratches and all of that has completely screwed the entire fantasy season for a lot of people. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Do you know what pissed me off? Tinkering with my friggin' lineup. I cannot tell you how much this year I tinkered with lineups to my own detriment. And I just, it's unbelievable how often I had a player in, switched him at the last minute, and regretted that decision.
Well, I mean, I've told you in the past, you're not that smart as it is. So
I'm very dumb.
Once you come to a conclusion, stick with it. Don't doubt yourself.
By that logic, shouldn't I come to a conclusion, go with the opposite, and then stick with that?
Right. You should, they swim upstream like the salmon.
Right. That's right. Yeah, it's like the salmon. Yeah, that's right. Swim against the grain. Well, what do you think? What do you think before we go into some more stuff? What do you think Steve would rant about right now?
Oh, Jesus. Are we talking about fantasy football or life? Because I have a picture. Steve sent us a picture. Was that last night? No, it was 2 nights ago, I believe.
2 nights ago, yes.
I was out for a nice steak dinner with friends, and Steve was being vomited on by him. And the man sent a picture of himself in a chunk-covered shirt. He did not even clean the shirt. He got his phone, took a picture, which was enjoyable for us. I mean, you got to consider.
It was very great. I mean, I laughed.
That's a good friend. I laughed.
Made my night. The look on his daughter's face at the time, it was almost like, I mean, she's young, right? I think she's less than a year still.
She turned 1-year-old birthday did pass.
Okay, so she's 1 year old, and even she realized that he was being an ass by stopping to take a picture before doing anything. It was clear that
he's basically a full-time dad. He's not even good at it.
No, he's very bad dad. So, I mean, but luckily Tucker is smart enough to, to not need a dad. So he'll be all right.
He's a TikTok star, Tucker. I follow him on TikTok.
That kid's good. He's good. So we got some rants. We had some people send in some stuff, which is obviously one of the reasons this is the most favorite show that we do all year is because of the work that our friends in the industry put in to be able to produce this show. We give everybody, whether it's people that are on podcasts, whether it's people that we just play in leagues with, we give everyone an opportunity to send stuff in and complain about the fantasy season. And they do it. They do it, and they do a great job. So I think we got to start off with the one guy that really always has a lot to say.
You know what's funny? Kevin, you and I both play in a lot of leagues with this guy. And,
we do.
And one of the things he always says is, oh, read your rules. Read your rules. And one of the rules for Festivus is to send a clip that's under 2 minutes. And John typically sends in a clip that's at least 10 minutes.
Yes, he certainly does.
So here's our moron friend, John Bosch.
Festivus is back. I am so excited. I love this episode. This is my favorite Flawful Funhouse DFPN at work. Whatever the show currently is, I love the Festivus episode. So thank you guys for letting me join in a little bit again. I am John Bosch. This year, I'm going to tell you a little story about what has tilted me more than anything. For this grievance to start being aired, I have to take you back to 2016. Oh, all the way back to 2016. I had never played Dynasty before. I get invited into a league called Capitalist Pigs by Scott Fish. Yes, that's Scott Fish. Mr. Nice Guy. First of all, I geek out. I mean, this league is a who's who of Dynasty football, which I had started to listen to some podcasts, do a little bit of research on, because I knew I was getting into Dynasty in 2016. So, I mean, I'm not kidding. This is, the bull rush is there. Back when it was actually, still a podcast. Frank actually played fantasy football, and Ty Miller was playing fantasy football, and they weren't just like, oh, I want to stick to my 1 or 2 league people. This was that. I was stoked. I could not believe it. Izzy was in the league. This was at a time when I actually thought Izzy was a good fantasy football player. So I couldn't believe it. All right, so that year, I finished right in the middle of the pack. Whatever. It was a learning experience, but I knew that the middle of the pack was boring. So fast forward to year 2017, I'm going to tear my team down so that I can go down to the bottom and build myself back up. I worked my ass off in 2017 trying to build this team, and I did. I also got more involved with Fantasy Cares to benefit Scott Fish and help him grow this charity that he's always preaching. The Eliminator started.
All right. Let's take a break here because that's 2 minutes. Let's see how many 2-minute clips we actually got from John Bosch.
You know, John Bosch, the idea is to rant, not tell you a life story, for God's sakes. 2016.
He really does put a lot of background and thought into the whole thing. So I'll give him that. But I mean, I'll tell you, you do a podcast with him and you've obviously been on podcasts with him, but up until recently regularly do a Dynasty Wall Street podcast, which I've been slacking on that as well. And he has a lot to say. So
yeah, he certainly doesn't shut up, curly head little freak.
All right, let's get to someone else. This is our good friend Bobby Koch. He sent in a submission here at Wrecked Fantasy on Twitter. You may know him as the host of the Superflex Pod with our good friend Matt Price. Have you listened to the Superflex, Sal? It's a great show. It's a good listen.
I've been on the Superflex.
What? They had you on it?
I was on, yes. I've been on the Superflex.
What was your spirit animal? Or
Matt made fun of me because I went with a lion. It was a boring animal. It was the animal I like. I identify with the lion. I'm a Leo. I was born in August, and the lion has been a very majestic animal. He mocked me.
Sure.
Stupid.
So I chose elephants when I was on there. And Matt had some really interesting facts about elephants. If you have a chance to go back to listen to that episode, they're inappropriate facts, but they were great. So, but this is Bobby Koch and his Festivus rant.
What's up, everybody? It's Rick Fantasy, aka Bobby Koch. Just wanted to wish you all a Merry Festivus and Happy Holidays. My rant this year is about a player that I once called Marlon Meh. Marlon Meh was, as he typically is, terrible last week. However, he got just enough carries to knock Jake Anderson and myself out of the finals by 0.14 points. Even though we were a top 3 scorer out of 36 teams and it's an all-play format. Congrats to Ryan McDowell and Dan Mailer. Marlon Meh. I'm going to continue to call you Marlon Meh for the rest of eternity. Sorry, buddy.
See, a couple of things jump out at me at this. For one, John Bosch, that's how you do it. It's quick, it's concise. He stayed within the rules. But for another, he also mocks a player that I gave you, Sal, so much crap about for so long with Marlon Mack. I literally just couldn't get on board. I finally get on board this season, and he had a good year. He did. He had a good year when he was healthy.
Yeah, another guy that wasn't healthy all year long. And, that's another thing. Every year we get plenty of rants about injuries, and it's football. These are human beings. But damn it, I had a 13-0 team. Kevin had a 13-0 team.
I had a 13-0.
Capitalist Pigs 3, which is beyond frigging impressive.
Thank
but
you.
He lost in the first round. Unfortunately, I also lost in the first round after scoring 241 points. I won't get into that. But 13-0, and I go into the playoffs. I get a bye week. Week 1 of the playoffs. While I'm not playing, Mike Evans gets hurt.
Yep.
All right. Had a bye week, got to the second round. Second round, I managed to win. But I had Chris Godwin. He got hurt. All right. I won. I got to the championship. I'm all ready to play today for my one stupid final that I'm in. And I wake up to that Derrick Henry news about it being injured. So another year, injuries. Anybody who drafted Saquon Barkley, number 1 overall, know all about injuries. None of you guys were in finals today as you watched him set New York Giant records for 249 yards, 3 touchdowns. It was just insane. But, Bobby, solid rant. I don't know if you could call it a rant. He's too nice of a guy. This is a guy who on Thanksgiving sent me a personal video thanking me for being his friend. And I'm just like, I don't deserve this nice of a human. I don't deserve a guy as nice as Bobby Koch in my life, but what a good dude.
Well, you know how good of a dude he is. He sent me one of those too. And so that, if he took the time to actually to compliment me, then
you're not a guy that's easy to compliment or to find things to compliment about.
That's what I'm saying. It's very difficult, but yeah.
Kevin,
was great. I got to put a little bit of good back into the world through the fantasy football community. So 2018, that went pretty well. Good karma from the work that I had done, I think. I managed to win the 2018 season of Capitalist Pigs from the bottom to the top. Excellent. What a great feeling. Oh, it was just fantastic.
He is a bottom.
The off-season was great leading into 2019. I actually got to meet this Scott Fish fella. Went up to Minnesota to go to their theme park, which happens to be really close to him. So we met for drinks one night. Again, super nice guy. Love Scott Fish. So nice. So many things for the community. The Eliminators took off even more. I did more of them in 2019 than I could have imagined doing. All of this just benefiting everything. Such great things coming that Scott Fish had brought me into. Thank you, Scott Fish. Such a nice guy, right? So much fun. Let's fast forward to let's just go all the way to the end of 2019. I lose one game in Capitalist Pigs as I'm going for my repeat. Happened to be to Scott Fish. Still led the conference in total points. Stoked for the playoffs. There's some people in my way at the beginning. Kevin Cotillo ended up getting to the semifinals against me and Scott. Wasn't even a competition. Whatever. Kevin,
nope. Not even close.
Nice team over there. Fast forward to the final thing with Sunday Night Football. I have Austin Hooper going. I need him to score me a touchdown to give me a little bit more distance. Scott still has the great Jack Doyle going on Monday Night Football. Austin Hooper catches the touchdown. It's called touchdown. Yes, I have a little bit of room. I have some breathing room. It's reviewed and overturned. Not a catch. Yeah, maybe it wasn't actually a catch, but I don't care. I would have loved those points. Nonetheless, Hooper's not seen again the rest of the night. I end up going into Monday night with about a 3-point lead.
If you don't know what's coming, that means you weren't on Twitter that night. because I know what's coming next, and we'll get back to that a little bit later.
Yeah, it was he's building up for a real kick in the dick. I mean, there's no other way to say it. And speaking of that, I think you're gonna like the next rant that we have, Sal.
Hey, it's your old hillbilly buddy, Dead Duck. And while I don't have a whole lot to grieve about this year, I don't have any championships either, so I thought I would send something in. Just celebrate the Festivus and the holiday. I'm sure this has been done, but not as terribly as it's about to be done. The 12 biggest reasons NFL year suck for me. 12 bad beats, 11 callback touchdowns, 10 RB committees, 9 bad lineup decisions, 8 some weak old chili, played Baker 7 times, 6 garbage time losses, 5 shares of Cam, 4 Malcolm Brown vultures, 3 Tampa hammies, too much Juju Schuster, and no Lamar Jackson on my teams. Happy Festus, everybody. Sal, try not to punch anybody in the dick over New Year's.
There's a pretty good chance somebody's getting punched in a dick on New Year's Eve. Kevin, interestingly enough, our friend Sean goes by the name of Dead Duck. And this weekend, he's a hunter. He killed his first deer. I don't know if it was the first deer he's ever killed or the first one he's gotten in 3 years. But interesting, seeing as there was a hullabaloo on Twitter about killing ducks. And he goes by Dead Duck and Hunters with another fantasy analyst today.
Yeah, I mean, we've known this guy. He's one of the original falafel members, and he's been around for a long time, and we've known him for a while now. And he talks about going out and hunting all the time. Goes out in the woods, gets high as a kite, apparently.
Stoned beyond belief.
Yeah, and he talks about all this hunting. I had just assumed that he was decent at it, but apparently he's not, because this is the first deer he's shot in who knows how long.
Little known fact: most hunters suck and are in the woods hiding from their wives, getting drunk or stoned. That's pretty much what most hunters. At least that's what my father used to do. Hated my mother so much he just took up hunting. I don't think he actually enjoyed it.
That's that's fair. I certainly can't fault people for finding a hobby that lets them get away from everyone. There's nothing wrong with that.
I like how you said everyone, just in case your wife listened.
No. I would never do anything to specifically get away from my wife. I love my wife, so
she's in the same room as you, isn't she?
She's right behind me. Yep, no question about that. Let's see. I'll give you a choice on this one, Sal. We have two good friends of the show, the Goat District and the Dynasty Outhouse. What do you want to hear next?
Let's go with the Canadian entry. Let's see how they celebrate Festivus in Canada with the Goat District.
All right.
Happy Festivus Fantasyland. I'm JD at Goat District. I want to thank Kevin, Mike, Salvatore for giving me this opportunity to get a little something off my chest. I know us Canadians.
So wait, I got to pause this because he just called Steve Mike, didn't he?
I'm pretty sure he
did. So just to be clear, Steve has not been on the show enough to even be known as Steve. He's now Mike.
I didn't even pick up on that until you said it. I'm like, who the hell is Mike?
Let's go back here.
Happy Festivus Fantasyland. I'm JD at Goat District. I want to thank Kevin, Mike, Salvatore for giving me this opportunity to get a little something off my chest. I know us Canadians might not necessarily be known for our anger, our tempers, being pissed off. But we get things that get our blood boiling. And one simple thing that's become really a big part of our lives, but just really gets to me, is just the amount of emails we get. Like, how many emails can you send me, world? Like, I'm getting emails about emails, subscription emails, information emails, trip winning emails, MFL emails, trade email. It doesn't end, man. Just at work, I'm getting 30 to 50 emails a day. And then you got your personal emails. That's another 30 emails a day. You go online shopping. I mean, God forbid you leave something in your cart. You start getting peppered with these emails. Sir, did you mean to leave this in your cart? Do you realize, sir, that you have not purchased this item? Click here and we'll take you. Look, man, if I wanted to buy the thing, I would have either bought it or I would just come back to your site when I'm ready with my credit card and I'll purchase it then. I don't need 29,000 emails asking me if I left it in my cart. You know what I'm saying? So look, let's chill on the email. Oh, wait, my favorite. Reply all thanks. Anyone that works in like a corporate environment, or reply all thanks. Like, come on, man. Use some judgment, people. Anyways, that's my little rant. Happy Festivus, everyone. Happy holidays. I'm JD at Goat District, and we'll check you all later.
JD, a good fantasy guy, but doesn't know the rules to Festivus on this show, is to complain about something that happened during fantasy football season. Not just in general in your life, but JD, great guy. We've both been on his show multiple times, and we'll have to forgive him because he is from Canada, and that was probably right up there with Bobby Koch's one of the nicest rants I've ever heard.
Yeah, it's very nice. He complained about emails, which really has nothing to do with the show, but he did complain, so there's that. Apparently, he's getting a lot of emails. I will say I am with him on the reply all thanks, because that is annoying as hell. Because then you get 3 other people on a group email doing that as well, and it just sucks. So I'm with him there.
Yeah, I can't stand. I usually get that. I call it at the group chat vortex when you can't get out of it, and you're stuck in it, and people just keep. It's definitely a vortex. So he called Steve Mike.
Yeah, he called.
I did like his Italian accent, the way he rolled the Salvatore.
That wasn't bad for a Canadian. I mean, I don't know how many Canadians have Italian backgrounds, but I'm guessing it's not many.
Well, Kevin, they probably come over here and settle down just as much up north as they do down here. But you never know.
Sure about that?
This guy's talking again.
Mr. Nice Guy, everyone.
He's got a thing for Scott too, huh?
And ruin my dream of back-to-back championships.
Well, this was where the Twitter comes in that night with him and Scott.
So Monday night starts to kick off. All of a sudden, I start getting some notifications on my phone. Why is my Twitter becoming so active? Why am I getting all these? Why am I getting all these notifications? Oh, it's Mr. Scott Fish. who has decided that I assume he spent all day preparing tweets just to throw at me the entire game. Nonetheless, I'm tilting like crazy, sweating, nervous. I just want this game over. I want to escape with a magical 3-point win. And all I'm reading constantly, maybe throw it to Doyle. I'm sorry, I should probably do it in Scott's voice. Throw it to Doyle on third down at John Bosch FF. Doyle was open at John Bosch FF. Colts take a timeout, probably to try and scheme some plays for Doyle at John Bosch FF. Colts bringing in Hilton to decoy to get the ball to Doyle at John Bosch FF. Scott then takes it up a notch. Tweets out a nice little picture. Jack Doyle, no matter what. All right, that's fine. Still didn't happen. I'm still smooth sailing right here. Demario Davis, whoever that is. Scott's cursing at him over the internet because he's doing things like knocking the ball away from Jack Doyle. Scott tweets this picture from some Lord of the Rings type show. I can't even imagine how much time he put into writing this little thing. And it's all just trash talking about how Sir Jacoby Brissett is going to throw to the honorable and noble Jack Doyle on multiple occasions, just to help the glorious victory of the great Scott Fish. Again, nice guy Scott Fish, right? No, nobody's worried about the fact that, I'm dying inside with every time Jacoby Brissett looks Jack Doyle's way. Well, the game's going on for a little while. Jack Doyle hasn't had a catch. Scott then decides to turn all of SFB against me. I'll update SFB 9 in the Pigs Leagues after Jack Doyle has 3.9 points, not before. So everybody better start rooting for that. If he doesn't, all my leagues are canceled at John Bosch FF. Yeah, that's great. Let's piss off all of Twitter and blame me. Thanks, Scott Fish. What a great.
Most people don't like John Bosch on Twitter as it is already. Anyway, but it looks like John's got a little bit more ranting to go about that night. I actually have notifications on for Scott, and I was getting every single one of those tweets as they were coming through, and I was like, this isn't even remotely annoying.
I mean, being the third person in the trio that made that round of the playoffs was, my team fell apart, so I wasn't even remotely close to them. But it was fun for me to see that play out because it's fun to see John get tilted. It's fun to see John lose sometimes. He's actually, very good fantasy player. So
yeah, he's good in fantasy. Sucks in real life, but. Now, Capitalist picks 1. I'm in 2 and 3, and those are 56 teams. So I know 1 is 28. So
that's correct.
The playoffs are different then. There's only 3 teams in that round.
Yeah. So yes, exactly. There were 3 teams in that round. It starts with 6, 3, and then 2. So okay. It cuts down to 2 instead of 4, basically. So 6, 3, 2 is the format. The highest scores go. Made it into the second round, where I promptly got destroyed, and that was where that played out. And Scott, I believe, we'll hear the rest as we go along. I'm sure we'll get to the end of that story. Another person that has to listen to John Bosch regularly is Russ, our good friend Russ Fisher, Dynasty Outhouse. He does host the Dynasty Game Night from time to time now, one of John's show, again with Matt Price. I feel like that guy's popping up all over the place. But and did you get into it with Matt Price at one point in some league? I thought I saw in some league chat you were getting into it with Matt Price over something.
Yeah, we definitely went back and forth a couple of weeks ago or something. I don't remember what it was at this time, but I did call him something kind of animal loving hippie.
You find yourself getting into fights with some of the nicer people in the fantasy industry,
they're all phonies. They're all phonies, every one of them. They see a guy like me, and I got this persona and this reputation, and they come at me figuring this is how they're going to get their aggressions out, and everybody will blame Sal naturally because this is just the type of buffoonish idiot that Sal is. But no, it's not me. It's all of them. It's them.
Well, wow. All right. Well, let's see. Have you ever had a run-in with Russ? He's a pretty nice guy too.
So I've actually gone out on 3 separate occasions in a group with Russ, And Russ, again, Russ could not be a nicer guy, but for some reason, I feel like I need to take shots at him. I don't know. He's a I've actually
sorry.
It's all right. I've even met his wife. In fact, one time we were out and they invited, so I was with him and Bobby Koch, and both of their wives were there, and it was just me. And I'm like, "Oh, this is great. You guys set me up." She's like, "No. We're all on a mission. Get sex for Sal. We're gonna get sex for Sal." So I kind of like his wife.
Yeah, that's good people right there. Hard to get into a fight with a guy if he's gonna try and help you out like that.
Yeah, Mrs. Outhouse on Twitter, I believe her name is.
See, that's just sad for her though.
The Dynasty Outhouse here. Now, when my good friend Kyle Lebrecht reached out to me and said, "Hey, can you record something for the show?" I had two questions for him. First, what is the fantasy Funhouse football thing? And what the hell is Festivus? I don't know. He tried to explain that to me. I didn't really get it. But he told me I get to complain about things, and I never pass up an opportunity to complain. So,
Russ, who knows both of us, has worked with both of us on multiple occasions with multiple things, apparently doesn't know our show. So
how about the fact that he's a Jewish man and he hasn't watched Seinfeld?
Here we go. Okay, first, if you join a league, check the rules. And if you forget the rules, you know what you should do? Check the rules. Hey, Commish, when's the trade deadline? Hey, Commish, what are the payouts? Hey, Commish, why can't I pick up a player when, it's first come, first serve? Check the rules. That's where you get all the answers. Yes, I know the answers. There is no deadline. Yes, I know what the payouts are. And you do not get free first come, first serve waivers. They cost $1. You don't have $1, you don't get to do first come, first serve pickups. Too bad. But you know what? I should charge you more for making me do extra work. I didn't write the rules for myself. I wrote them so you would actually read them and know the rules. 2, if you go into chat and you say, "Hey, this guy's on the block, come and get him," answer the trade offers. Hey, novel idea. I sent you an offer. Even if you want to see what else you get, even if you're not sure if you want to take it, let us know. Say, "Hey, good offer. Let me think about it. I'm waiting to see what else I get." That's all it takes. And if you reach out to a guy and you say, "Hey, I'm interested in this person," you got to send good players to get good players. Seriously, if you're looking to get DeAndre Hopkins, you're not sending me 6 little scrub guys and a first-round pick to try and get him. No, send me something worthwhile. Send me something that you think you would accept if you were offered for the guy. And last but not least, there's this guy named Sal Lito. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but this is the kind of guy. He takes you out to a bar. He takes you to a nice show. You get pictures with the fantasy footballers. You have a great time. But you know what? Never calls you back. You sit there, you wait by the phone. He's nice, he's sweet. You think you have something special. And then you know what? Crickets. You believe that? Guys. But for reals, happy Festivus, everybody. Love you all. Love your show. Kind of maybe. If I've never really listened to, let's be honest. But peace out, fellas.
Wow, called you out. Apparently the sex for Sal didn't go well because you're not calling him back.
So I forgot when I brought that up before that particular night I was out with him, Bobby Koch, Trader Joe, and we all hung out. I had one extra ticket to the football show that night, and Russ was the one who decided to come. He came with me. So he's right. We did go. It was the first time in my life I got recognized by people actually at the show. People came over to say hello to me. I took pictures. It was like, I don't know what's going on here, but okay, I'm rolling with it. We had a great time. We met up with Mike and the boys afterwards, took a picture with them. And then we met up back again for drinks, and his wife showed up, and I was disappointed, Russ. I thought we had something too, but I mean, you got a woman in your life, for Christ's sake.
So just to be clear, you're upset that his wife showed up.
Yeah,
on your mandate.
I thought it was just like you said. I thought it was a mandate, and by the way, and this is not to be taken the wrong way. That was the best rant, like actual rant we had the whole show. And of course, it comes from a Jewish man. Nobody complains better than the Jewish people. I want you people to be proud of that. Do not be insulted by that. It's something to be proud of.
It's a very good rant. Definitely check out, at Dynasty Outhouse on Twitter, and apparently Mrs. Outhouse as well, which is great. The Trade Addicts podcast, and like I said, Dynasty Game Night. He does a great job with that too. So thanks, Russ, for kicking it up a notch. He definitely, exceeded expectations for a guy that's as nice as he is. Did a great job with his rant. You mentioned Trader Joe. I don't know if you know this, Sal, because we are part of the DFPN network, the only network in town. Trader Joe at FF Trader Joe, our good friend now, is our social media guy. Have you noticed this? Are you aware?
I'm aware because I was the original guy who ran the Twitter
account. You bombed so royally they had to bring in someone else to
I would
manage
say
this.
I was slightly below mediocre. I don't need that. I don't know. You have to say I bombed. I was just not that good, but
much further below mediocre, if you ask me. I mean, your amount of social media interaction with that handle was just brutal.
The first couple of days, I was like fire, and then it was like this. I got to go to work, but Joe has a very lazy loser job. He works at the Aladdin show on Broadway. He's backstage. He has plenty of time to do these things because he's really just doing nothing. But so he does an amazing job. He actually, Joe knows I'm kidding. He knows I love him. He does a tremendous job with that account. We are a benefit and better off for having him. And his abilities on Twitter are probably above and beyond what any of the shows produce on the actual network. So he's
far better than all of us for sure. And I like to think of him replacing Steve in our lives, and it's just such a huge upgrade.
Steve,
Mike. I'm sorry, Mike.
Oh, Mike.
Yeah. See, he replaced Mike.
Right.
Oh man. But anyway, he did send in a rant, so we can hear what at FF Trader Joe has to say.
Welcome. This is at FF Trader Joe. My Festivus rant for 2019 is really directed towards myself. I can't seem to set my own lineup correctly. I can tell everyone else how to set theirs just fine. But when it comes to setting my lineup, I'm awful. I leave 50-point Drew Brees on my bench to cost myself playoff wins. I leave Raheem Mostert on my bench when he goes off. So, goddamn it, Joe, listen to your own advice and set your lineups correctly. Have a happy holiday, 2019. Good luck in your finals.
Was he depressed when you met him? He sounds very sad. Is it the Aladdin thing?
I mean, he's around that happy crap all the time. It probably makes him. But Joe, an Italian guy, very self-loathing, as you can see.
Fair. Yes.
Most of us attack ourselves, and he's angry with himself. It's understandable.
I get it. I mean, with that kind of Twitter talent, you'd think he'd have a little more energy, a little more, liveliness. But really, it was a down rant right there. He's right. I mentioned that at the top of the show. I mean, that's just brutal. Setting lineups is the worst. I'm actively looking for more leagues that have every component of a traditional dynasty league, with the exception of having to set a lineup.
So you are a big fan of dynasty best ball. You want to play nothing but dynasty best ball.
That's the dream, Sal.
I don't know. It takes away from it a little bit for me. I enjoy it. I play in a couple of them, but it takes it away.
It has to be true lineup only best ball, right? Because there are some best ball leagues where you draft it and you can make some trades and stuff, but there's usually a lot more restrictions and there's not as much activity. I'm seeing more where everything else is the same. There's waivers, there's trades, there's all kinds of activity, except you just don't have to set a lineup.
Yeah, I guess that's a little bit more involved, unlike one of these mentally ill leagues that John Bosch puts together, like Fog of War. Oh, what a torture that was this year. I don't want the pain of that league in my life, John. John, here's me letting you know I won't be back next year for that league.
You realize that he's working on creating something that is about to break MFL for many others.
But right? Let's do a little rant on that. MFL, we play our leagues there. Most of our dynasty leagues are there. Scott's Pigs leagues are there. And they're doing things that are going to screw that up to the point where for the first time ever I've heard Scott talk about other sites. And I know Scott is friendly with these guys and wants to stay there. But, anybody who deals with my fantasy leagues or is a worker there, and I doubt it because I know they're a small crew and they're probably not listening to us, cut the shit. We're playing there. We like it there. Stop screwing around with stuff. Get better.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys could own the market if you just listen to the people.
Absolutely. They need to come through, fix whatever they need to fix for the people. I know it's a small percentage of the people that they are actually catering to, but it's the most important percentage in my mind because it drives so much else for their business, I think. Particularly with Scott alone. I mean, think of how much business he brings in for them. So
Scott, Ryan McDowell, and Douchey Bosch. The amount of free advertising that they do for that site it's in a word, priceless. Oh, he must have heard me call him Douchey.
Guy, this is Scott Fish. All right, he changes his mind after going negative didn't work. He tries to get some little karma in here, and he goes and he updates it just to please everybody. Shortly after that, Jack Doyle gets a catch, so maybe that karma's working. Scott's getting all excited. I actually think I lost because I wasn't paying attention to the yardage. I thought it was a 15-yard catch. It was an 11-yard catch. So it was close, but I still have the lead. All night, I'm just sitting there going, please go through. Booger McFarland's talking about establishing the run. Scott's ripping Booger because, that's what everybody does. But, of course, Scott's like, no. The only thing you need to establish is Jack Doyle at John Bosch FF constantly, every time, every 5 minutes it felt like. Never ending. Jack Doyle at John Bosch. Jack Doyle at John Bosch. Then we get to the final drive of the Colts. This game is over. It's 34-0. There's like 7 minutes left in the game. They're not even covering Jack Doyle anymore. I mean, like, he's running these like 3-yard patterns and stopping and turning around. I mean, literally, you could have like kicked the ball to him if Jacoby Brissett wanted to. With the way he was passing that night, that might have been better. Then it happens. Jack Doyle runs 2 yards all the way off the line of scrimmage, turns around. Jacoby Brissett hits him with a pass. Yay, Colts. My dream of the Pigs back-to-back title is over. Scott is Mr. Gracious, of course. He's such a nice guy. Super nice guy. I know there's a progressive pot for back-to-back going in this league. I don't know how much it is. Well, I didn't. I do now. And I know it now because the great guy, Scott Fish, decides to tweet out, by the way, everybody, John just lost double what the payout was going to be. Holy shit. Not only would I have won, the payout this year if I'd have won it, the progressive pot is up to double that. I would have, had a chance to play for $1,000 on the final Sunday against Matt Price, who Matt was, he's got a good team. Scott and I both outscored him in the semifinals, so I think I would have had a pretty good chance. So my whole night, I get nothing but harassed by Scott Fish, who then ends up beating me and goes into the finals.
All right, we'll have to hear the rest of John's rant. Well, that brings up a good point. Speaking of John Bosch, you know what I'd like to complain about this year, Kevin?
What's that?
People in fantasy leagues who are out of contention for just literally anything and pick up players off of waivers in week 16, like John Bosch did to me in the league where I was playing for a championship today. And, I know that I lost Godwin and Evans, as I pointed out earlier, and I'm like, okay, great. Boone is on the waivers. He's there. I was like, all right, I'm going to put in. There's really only 2 people in this league playing for anything at this point. And I wake up the next morning and I see a failed waiver claim, and I'm like, did Mark Hill have money where he was able to get him? And no, it's John Bosch, who's playing for 11th place. 11th place. And I didn't check today. I'll have to check. I'll try to get this information before we finish. He then says, oh, yeah, I'm glad I got him. But it's going to come down to him and somebody else. I might not even use him. You might not even use him. Well, what did you pick him up for? Why are you C-blocking me? Why? I don't even understand, John.
So
Don't
I'm
do
looking
that.
I'm looking it up right now just to see. Let's see. Wow. Of course, Yahoo doesn't list it for whatever reason.
Come on, Yahoo, be better.
Because they're, not good. You are playing in the first place game and getting absolutely trounced.
Oh yeah, no. Mark Hill's team completely showed up today. The guy started Caden Smith. Caden Smith. He doesn't have 2 touchdowns in his career. He scored 2 today.
Unbelievable. But I cannot see what the score of the other game is. So,
so
I cannot
what
tell
you're
you.
saying is John's game is so meaningless that
It was
it's
so
not
irrelevant,
even on
yes.
the scoreboard right now.
That is correct.
That's how meaningless
Yes.
it is.
Yes, that is how meaningless
I'll
it is.
tell you what I did. I went to John's team, and if you punch in John's team, you can get his lineup for today. And he does have Boone in his lineup, so I'll give him credit for that. It was coming down to him or Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks had a good game. I don't know that this 11th place means anything, but whatever it is, I hope you finish in 12th.
Somehow in the 11th place game. Yes. Yeah. And you know what? I mean, we should really just say screw you, John Bosch, for setting up the leagues the way you do anyway and having all these weird rules that no one can follow. I mean, we heard a rant earlier about reading your rules, and yet with John Bosch, you can't even read them because they don't make sense, and they're all over the place. There's 5 different leagues in one league, and yeah. All right. Speaking of irrelevant, you want to hear from Riley Bymaster?
That's definitely irrelevant. Did he graduate something? Congratulations, Riley.
He did. Riley did graduate from college. He is officially a college grad now. So
who the hell graduates in December? What a loser.
I know, right? It's unbelievable. But I am proud of the kid. He's finishing up school. He's going to start his job in the real world. And he's going to hate life just as much as us within the next, how long do you think it takes? Year? Tops?
I'll give him a week.
A week?
What is up, everybody? Riley Bymaster here, representing the Dynasty Wall Street and the new
That's a good show.
Scouting Brief podcast, part of the Dummies Funhouse podcast network. Happy Festivus to the rest of us. My favorite time of the year. We get to air our grievances and really rant about stuff that's been bothering us and pissing us off for a long time now. First and foremost, I just want to say that Freddie Kitchens, I mean, you have a Heisman-winning first overall pick at quarterback. You have Odell Beckham, Jarvis Landry, Nick Chubb, and even later in the season, Kareem Hunt and David Njoku, and you still have one of the shittiest offenses in the league. I mean, Ryan Fitzpatrick and Devontae Parker have looked better than you. Are you fucking kidding me? Ryan Fitzpatrick? I mean, Freddie, you run the ball on 2nd and 24. You go backwards in the red zone. Freddie, you were the reason I drink. I mean, I don't understand. Your play calling's trash. I mean, my grandma could call better plays. I mean, it's horrible. So, Freddie, you deserve to follow Hugh Jackson to Cincinnati as an offensive quality control coach and win one game a year with Hugh Jackson, because you are no different than Hugh. Hell, I think I'd prefer Hugh at this point. So, Freddie, you can just – I hope you get canned. I can't stand you anymore. So I'm, next thing, when I offer a small trade, when I offer a mid-second for Ian Thomas, don't come back to me and say you're more interested in DeAndre Hopkins or Mike Evans or Juju. I mean, no shit, you're interested in those players. I'm coming after Ian Thomas. Why would you say, well, throw DeAndre Hopkins in and we can build from there? Like, no, that's not how it works. Bruce Anderson, I thought you'd at least do something this year. I mean, you signed with Tampa, and Ronald Jones hasn't been great. Peyton Barber is the same Peyton Barber that we all know. And, I mean, I thought you'd at least do something. Same with Riley Ridley. I thought you'd have a chance. You looked good last year. I guess not. I don't know what the hell happened with Josh Rosen, but that still fucking pisses me off that he hasn't done anything. I also want to give a quick shout out to one of my finance professors who left me with an 89.92 as my final grade, 8/100ths of a point away. Kicking the dick, really, really did not go over well with me, but hey, whatever. So Freddie Kitchens, People who want Hopkins for Ian Thomas in the deal, the 8/100ths of a point, and all the players that I missed on. You guys, fuck. Happy Festivus.
Kevin, can I just say right off the bat? I mean, for our youngest entry so far, man, he's filled with a lot of angst, and nobody was as angry and curse-filled as him. And when he said something about being driven to drink, I wasn't sure if he was old enough to drink. But then I remember, I remember Matt Foreman, his co-host, mentioning something about him celebrating the other day with a White Claw, which I didn't know he was a white chick. So anyway, Riley, the only thing I have to say to you besides that is I am proud of you, like Kevin, as you're a good guy. But I don't know that Baker Mayfield was all Freddie Kitchens' fault this year. I know that you take that personally because you predicted 71 touchdowns this year for Baker. But screw the Browns.
Yeah, I look. I'm with him on the Freddie Kitchens thing because he is downright awful.
Terrible.
I agree with you. I don't know that Baker's struggles are all on him, but it's certainly not helping. And hopefully they can get another coach in there and we can actually see what Baker can do if he can actually progress. They do have weapons, so we'll see. It's baffling to me that coaches like that stay for an entire year. I don't understand why you wouldn't want to fire a guy to get the jump on interviewing coaches in the upcoming weeks when they have the bye weeks.
Yeah, the guy I think everybody should be looking at is Ron Rivera. I liked Ron Rivera, and the guy has balls and he takes chances. And I was actually surprised this year because of not having Cam there, that he got fired based on the season. But it's a new owner in Carolina, and I think he just wanted a fresh start altogether. So you got to take that for what it is. But Freddie Kitchens was in over his head from day one. It was so stupid. But as far as having weapons there, there's no chance in the world I believe Odell Beckham Jr. is back next year. I think he will force his way out again, which is just absurd. I put some tweets out today. I've always tried to defend Odell on this show, but even I'm sick and tired of the antics. I mean, you're down by 2 scores. Your team has sucked all year, and you're celebrating after your touchdown today because you're a selfish son of a bitch. Get over yourself. Last week, Jarvis Landry was in the coach's face. This week, it's Odell. I felt like that wasn't going to be this amazing offense this year. We did do some preseason shows, Kevin, and I did say that. I didn't think it would be as bad as it is. I did think that they'd still compete for the division. They haven't done either. Just an atrocious output by Cleveland. And I know Trader Joe's a Cleveland fan. Sorry, Joe.
No, and I'll tell you another thing to fucking rant about here is the Odell Beckham thing, right? People finally got to a point where they would bench him. And of course, he scores today in what would be your final matchup. So if you had Odell Beckham and somehow made it through his disaster of a season and made it to your finals, he most likely had a touchdown on your bench.
Yeah, my team's paid off today, man, in the finals. Devonta Freeman, Brandon Cooks just didn't make it to the playoffs in those leagues. I wasn't playing for the championship. I think my falafel team today might have beaten both you and Corey, who played in that.
Probably, most likely. I mean, the Devonta Freeman share paying off today really hurts. That's a real kick in the dick, as we've been saying as well, because I had a lot of shares of him and I had him all over the place. And for him to finally have that big game and wasted in most areas. So
you should have traded for him in falafel. He might have won you the game today.
That's a good point. I'll tell you, you and I actually do share a specific rant similar to Odell Beckham for this season. We don't rarely have see eye to eye on most things, but I think we can both safely say a big F you to Antonio Brown this year.
No, Antonio Brown. I mean, what this guy did, and boy, I'm glad you brought that up because I think last year I did a rant about the Raiders. That was one of my biggest complaints. And this year I was like, okay, I'm going to simmer down. I kind of liked what I was seeing out of Gruden. I was like, I like the kind of the galvanized way he's bringing the team together. And boy, they came into the season full of fire, and they got to a point where they were 6-4. They were 2 games over 500. They lost every week since until this weekend. And now there's some wacky, crazy scenario where if 5 different things happen next week, they could still get in the playoffs, and every single one of them is viable. But I don't want them to. I don't want them to get in because that's – but Yeah, Antonio Brown, just an embarrassment to himself, to his family, to the league. And this is an all-time great Hall of Fame football player. And then he goes over to New England, and New England basically told him, keep your nose clean. Don't do anything stupid. And what
Just
came
shut
out,
up.
anything at all. And what came out was he had to be cut for that. They had to do the right thing. So he goes on his stupid rants on his social media that he's put out there. And for the last, I don't know, 5 or 6 weeks, he's cried and complained basically, take me back, take me back. You attacked Robert Kraft directly. And then you're asking a man, I'm sorry, please take me back. That's not how it works in a real world. That's the problem. You've been babied your whole life.
And we could use him. I mean, if there's anything that we need, it's a friggin' wide receiver. So I'll tell you, it hurts. I thought it was amusing when it was the Raiders that he screwed over, but now I'm angry. So,
well, if you want, I got a brand new Antonio Brown Raiders jersey in the closet.
I think I can toss a Patriots patch on it and then cross out his name again, and
it's still silver and black.
Speaking of the Patriots, we have another Patriot fan, someone from the DFPN network here, or the DFP network, whatever we're calling ourselves these days. Our good friend Kyle is ready with a rant.
Hey everybody, Kyle here with the Dummies. Thanks for the welcome to come and air my grievances. I've got a couple. I'll try to keep it short. I don't want Kevin to edit me out. He probably will anyways. But I want to start off with a shout out to the DFPN crew. Happy Festivus to all you guys: Kevin, Sal, Steve, Joe, J. Mike, Riley, Matt, Zach. Happy Festivus, happy holidays, and here's to another great year. I want to start out with a grievance about all of these injuries. They've just killed me this year, and I know they've killed a lot of people, but I had my best year in SFB. I was up at third overall at one point in points. I was making a great run to the end, and injuries. David Johnson just apparently fell apart. I came back healthy, but still think not quite healthy. I don't know. Dalvin Cook there at the end. It's just injuries everywhere. In other leagues, losing guys like Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and Marvin Jones, these guys that carried you all the way through the season, and this great run through the season, and you get here, you get to the big games, the playoffs, and injuries, and they cause you to lose these matchups, and you don't have them for the next week, or just all of these injuries killing me this year. And my second grievance is the next part of that, where the sleepers that aren't hitting, and I know they're sleepers, they don't necessarily all hit, but can some of them? Can we get a little something like Trey Quinn? Where's my little slot master? The Redskins had Jamison Crowder for years, and he was a great slot guy there. Trey Quinn was supposed to be the next guy, plug and play, lock and loaded. Robert Foster just falls off the map last year. Great ad off the waiver wire, and it does nothing this year. MVS, we get a couple flashes, nothing. Kobe Myers, the preseason darling from the Patriots. Where's he been? And then we go into that next year. These guys that you keep on the watch list, and you're the first one to grab off your waivers if they start to do something. Brian Hill, CJ Prosise. Chase Edmonds, he was probably on a team, but in the same category of they only do something until you pick them up and you play them. The second you put them into your lineup, nothing. What is up with that? All right, I'm just going to wrap this up here with one last little grievance. John, Bobby, Russ, you guys are wrong about this trade deadline thing. Trade deadlines need to be there. That's the final word. That's it. There it is. Thanks, guys. Have a great Festivus.
Boy, I tell you, I expect a little more anger out of my New Englanders.
Well, they're from Maine. Let's sorry. Let's be clear here. The Maine people are it's almost Canada. So, you know, they have that almost nice factor to them. So, you know, that's the problem. Where do you fall on the trade deadline debate?
In a dynasty league?
Yes.
Yeah, I think you have to leave it open. I think that trading has to be open throughout the whole year because it's a year-round thing. You know, guys are building for the next year, and why shouldn't a guy who's had a bad season get the opportunity to grab some money or picks, depending on what type of league you do for the following year, if somebody's going for it? I would be on the side of just leaving them open.
Yeah, I want them open as well, but I will say you got to have some kind of buy-in for the following year because you don't want guys cutting bait. So, you know, that's definitely a key. All right, we're getting towards the end here.
Can I just
got a couple left?
I don't Steve Mike me here and rush us through this. I meant to say that when he was saying he doesn't want Kevin Edwards. That would be Steve Mike who would do that, not Kevin. Let's give a rant about Adam Gase. Adam Gase. You were holding back Kenyon Drake, who scored his 7th touchdown since he's been in Arizona today. You holding back Devontae Parker, who had 9 touchdowns this year, and the season's not over yet. Ryan Tannehill has single-handedly, well, Derrick Henry was there too, but really has turned the season around for Tennessee and gives them a shot to get in the playoffs next year. And Mike Gesicki has looked like a valuable tight end. Those are 4 really good offensive players that were all in Miami last year under Gase, over the last few years under Gase, and did absolutely nothing. So Adam Gase, you're terrible at your job too. You and Freddie Kitchens should go start a farm somewhere and just, you know, right off, get the hell out of here and let people get the best. Like look what they did to Le'Veon Bell this year. He made Le'Veon Bell ordinary. I mean, this guy, I don't know,
very ordinary,
lousy coach,
like, just very ordinary. Yeah, yeah, he ruined a lot of seasons past, and he's ruining this season with there were some people that I saw in some redraft leagues that went high on Le'Veon Bell, thinking that he was going to be a focal point of that offense. For some reason, it was kind of a terrible idea, but you know, knowing who Gase is and the fact that he didn't even want him, but still, like,
that's what Gase's problem is, Kevin. As a guy now, I live in New York and I see him on a daily basis. This is the ultimate power hungry guy, and he wants you to know who's in charge. He did not want Le'Veon Bell, and he is not using it in the right way because he wanted to make it look like he wasn't good enough. The guy wasn't given a ball enough. He wasn't used correctly. And he did that to these other guys. You know, if these guys weren't going to play, like last year, he was bounced back and forth with Tannehill. He didn't play Drake. He didn't give him an opportunity. Parker was in and out of the lineup. It's just, this guy's a power-hungry douche nozzle. Get him out of there.
Well, listen, when you see him, you said you see him all the time. If you see him, punch him in the dick for us, would you?
Well, I see him on TV in New York. I mean,
I'm sorry. I didn't know if you like walk by him on the street. You could just, you know, throw a little nut shot at him.
Good old, you know, little known fact about the New York football teams. None of them are in New York.
Right. Right. That's very true. Very true.
You want to hear the end of this guy?
Yeah, let's get this Bosch story over with.
Scott and I both outscored him in the semifinals, so I think I would have had a pretty good chance. So my whole night, I get nothing but harassed by Scott Fish, who then ends up beating me and goes into the finals. Oh, what a way to end a fantastic run in Capitalist Pigs. So my grievance is, some people act like they're nice, but they are just #evil Scott. In all seriousness, though, thank you guys for continuing to do this episode. It really is one of my favorites of the year. Thank you, Scott Fish, for having such a fun league and having fun on Twitter while you were harassing me constantly. Despite the fact that I lost, it was still fun, actually. I did end up in a terrible thing called the third place game, which is for money. So maybe I'll win that money. I mean, I played Derek McCreath. You guys might all remember him from that Feel Guts podcast or whatever. They said they did something. I don't know. All I know is like he always wanted to get Demarius Thomas. Some crazy feel gut that he had. So I have to face off against him for third place money. I should have the advantage, but Derek's got experience in this game because that's the only place he ever ends up is in the third place game. So happy Festivus, everybody.
Oh, well, thank God that's over. At least it was long.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about a guy who's a phony. He's over here talking about how Scott's a fake nice guy. John tries to come across like this nice guy, and here he is insulting Derek about always being in third place. And Derek's from Canada, which we know means he's obviously a nice guy. And John, you're just not a good person, and your hair is curly.
You really stuck on his hair. Is it the lack of hair that gets you?
Yeah, well, the guy has a completely full head of hair, and he shaved it last year, like when you were a kid, your mother used to shave your head in the summer to save money and just give you a crew cut. That's what he looked like, little baby face finster.
Oh man! All right, so a little rant from me here about these rants. They've been very polite, mostly nice. Really haven't brought a whole lot of fire. We've only got one musical number so far, but there are two left, Sal. And I think we can salvage the night somehow.
Well, I know we're closing the night out with a New Yorker. We better be closing the night out with a New Yorker. And he's going to
We are closing the night out with a New Yorker, but we do have to get to the other half of the dummies, who is much more talented, way more musical, and usually brings some good stuff.
This is Zach Reed from the Dynasty Dummies podcast, and I'd like to take a minute to thank Kevin, Sal, and Steve for being desperate enough to have me back again this year. Now, normally, the Festivus episode of the Fantasy Football Funhouse is my favorite time of year. It's where I get to let my hair down a little bit and do a song, a rant, something creative. But this year, it's a little different. I sat down at the piano, and so many things hit me all at once that nothing came out. 2019 has beaten me down. It's battered me. It's broken me. And I don't know how to fight back. Odell dropped a brown note, OJ's worse than Witten. DJ's gone Space Jam, AP is bat shitting. DD can't get the ball on the screen. All these things blew in 2019. DK and AJ, I'm sick of the initials. I won't bring up A-Rob getting wasted by Mitchell. Waiting for Chart to regress to the mean. All these things blew in 2019. Marquez, Valdez, Scantling, Green Bay Dynasty stashes. If you want bothers, you deserve 50 lashes. 4 yards on 6 carries, now the routine. All these things blew in 2019. Damian Williams, Corey Davis, Juju Schuster too. As I look back on all of these things, 2019, you blew. 2019, you can John Fox yourself.
Yeah, I heard of Corey Davis in there, Kevin. A guy we both really thought this would be the year before the year started. And to my detriment, A.J. Brown happened, and I have zero A.J. Brown stock in Dynasty, and I couldn't be more disappointed about that.
Yeah, A.J. Brown looks like a stud and looks like the real deal. Corey Davis does not. I still have so many shares of Corey Davis that are all just trash at this point. I can only hope that maybe he turns it around at some point and we see something. You would have thought when Tannehill came in and actually started, running a suitable offense that we would have seen something out of Corey Davis. But no, apparently he's just not a talented guy, and it is what it is. Screw you. Corey Davis. All right. Are you ready to wrap this up with the final rant of the night from our good friend, your New York buddy?
Yeah, a former fantasy football analyst. Now he writes screenplays.
Look, he's probably a lot better at it than he was at podcasting. So
he was great at podcasts. I just don't think it was about fantasy.
Fair. That's also true. All right. Dynasty Frank, as he used to be called, who actually had a great season in the Scott Fish Bowl. He was up at the top of the leaderboard for a long, long time. I don't know how great it is, I guess, when you don't win the whole thing, but let's hear from Frank.
All right. again, my friends. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Happy Kwanzaa. And all that jazz. My favorite is Happy Festivus. Oh, that's my fucking... Sorry, somebody just cut me off. You son of a bitch. That's my holiday, Festivus. It's Festivus for the rest of us. I'd like to thank my fantasy football team for one league for making it to the championship. Wow, my home league. Thank you very much. Too bad I lost Dalvin Cook. Thank you very much, Dalvin Cook. I'm going to start with my gratitudes. SFB had a killer year, 11-1, led the conference in scoring. Had one bad week and I got eliminated, but whatever. I'm enjoying that. That's good. My Festivus fucking lamp goes to John fucking Mallow once again. I mean, how many fucking years do we have to do this? Every year. You're not sick of fucking losing? You old senile prick. If you don't fire Pat Sherman, which is a given, it's got to be a given, but Dave Gettleman, that piece of shit scumbag, if you don't fire him, I mean, for Christmas, all up for Christmas, all up for Festivus, a Festivus miracle is for Dave Gettleman to be fired as soon as possible. As soon as possible. God forbid you give the job to Louis Riddick. God forbid you give it to somebody of progressive, forward-thinking, maybe outside of the box. No, you're going to give it to some old fucking retread that's going to do the exact same thing like draft Saquon Barkley with the second overall pick. Same thing. What we do have to say is Daniel Jones, thank you very much. I mean, Evan Silva's probably fucking still triggered about it. But, hey, Daniel Jones doing this shit, doing his thing. So thank you for that, but get the fuck out of here, Dave. Get the fuck out of here, gentlemen, please. Please, it's very hard to do this while you're driving because I'm looking to scream at this fucking Honda in front of me. Oh, and happy Festivus, you fucks.
Frank has never a lack for fire. Anybody who's ever driven in New York City traffic knows that that's enough to get you ranting alone. I fear that they're going to keep Gettleman and try to hire Ron Rivera there and try to get back to Carolina connection that they had in Carolina. But Frank, always very disgruntled with the New York Giants, and I guess you can't really blame him.
No, certainly can't blame him for being disgruntled with a team like that constantly makes mistakes and then somehow finds a way to ruin two great Patriots seasons. So I hate the Giants myself for many, many reasons. So I can totally be on board with him ranting about the Giants. Fun fact about driving in New York City, Sal. Most people don't know this, but your blinker has been a part of multiple shows. It's been a part of multiple Vox chats that we've had. It's a regular appearance.
I have a very famous blinker. I've made quite a few messages and recorded a few shows on the road and making left turns in New York.
I'm not sure if you always leave the blinker on or are you always turning. What is the reason for that?
Every block in New York City is a one way. You got to make a lot of turns. You can't really just make like one turn and go around. You got to just keep turning to get back to the block that you want to get to. So plus I'm old and I have an old car that these modern blinkers, they shut themselves off. This old guy's
not yours.
I'm driving a 1975 Cadillac, it's big, it's long, and you got to self-close, you got to self-shut.
Just like Costanza's dad in true fashion, true Festivus form, you're driving an old school Cadillac that no one should be driving anymore. Listen, Sal, I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to actually record an episode. This was always fun. I love the Festivus episode. Thank you to everyone who sent in these rants. We really appreciate the time you put into it. Sal will never compliment you, but he does appreciate it. I guarantee it. He's just a prick.
Well,
oh wait, you're still here.
I'd like to say that this is all bullshit. Probably one of the nicest guys on Twitter. In fact, all those guys who I've said bad things about tonight, the Bobby Koches and the Russ Fishers and Trader Joe, every one of them told me I'm a phony. My persona in person is not what I am on Twitter. I'm one of the nicest guys they ever met. And screw you guys for trying to blow my shit up. Kevin, this was a lot of fun. We should do this more often. I had a good time.
Yeah, maybe we'll podcast again sometime in the next year. Off season's coming, so
2020. Here's to the off season.
That's it. All right, and until then, thank you everyone for listening. Follow the DFPN Network. We are the only network in town. And happy Festivus, everybody.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.